Tampa Bay, it is time. It is do or die for the Bucks. We're going to talk some Lightning. We're going to talk some wrestlers. You're in the Sports Lounge.
And now, you're tuned into Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Bienvenidos. Welcome. What's good? Good morning. My name is Eureka Wheeler, and I am here with the one and only Chris Glazier, and I am hearing the music again in my headphones. It's double the trouble, double the fun. But we're going to get it going, man. I'm hoping we get some double trouble and some touchdowns from the Buccaneers today. Chris Glazier, how about you, buddy? What are you doing?
Say Happy New Year to you and your family, man, and all the followers on here. Big game today, man. As the NFL has come to a close here at the last week of the season. It's kind of disappointing. It's sad. I feel like the season went by fast, like always. But man, let's hope the Bucks can get a win today in this biggest game of the season for sure. So I'm excited. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, buddy. We do these hopefully more frequently, and hopefully next week for a playoff lounge, because we'll get into all that. We're also going to talk a little bit of Lightning. We're going to talk a little bit of we're a little more laid back. We talk a little pro wrestling here, open up some sports cards. It's a fun time at the lounge. And we want you, we thank you for being here. You watching this or listening to this. However, there's a like button, there's a subscribe button right in the bottom there. Hit those things for us. It helps us out. It's absolutely free, and it helps us build our audience and let more people know that they need to be in here. And every week, this whole channel, we talk Bucks, Lightning, Rowdies, Rays. We talk everything. We give you as much as we can of more of what you love. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. So Chris, for the people, for everyone that's tuning in right now, the big thing on everyone's mind right now is a kickoff in about an hour. Bucks versus Panthers. It is do or die for the NFC South title. They had a chance to control their own destiny last week. All they had to do was beat the Saints. They were at home. It was a divisional rival. It was a team they've beaten already. It was if you can't get up for that game, I don't know what game you're going to get. It was, for all intents and purposes, in my mind, a playoff game, and it took them 3 quarters. We don't have to talk about the whole game against the Saints, but it took them 3 quarters to wake up. It took them too much time. They came out flat. They got overpowered. They got beaten, and it was too much, too little, too late at the end there. We saw bad Baker. We saw bad turnovers. We had perfect Baker a couple weeks ago, and then we had bad everybody all over the place, even the special teams. Even Hall of Fame punter Jake Camarda couldn't ball a couple times. So what's going to stop the Bucks from laying another egg against a worse opponent, right? The Panthers have no incentive to win other than maybe to spoil. I think their draft positions probably is pretty set. They just want to come out and play spoiler. What are the Bucks going to do today to make sure they don't lay another goose egg?
It could have been my fault. Last week I did go to the game, my first game of the season, so maybe I was the jinx. But I felt like I went last year against Carolina and we won the division, so I thought, why not try to go 2 for 2? So it was a rough game last week. So I think this week the play calling has to improve, right? No more of this soft play calling. Like we should have came out a lot more aggressive last week than we were, right? I actually saw statistics saying that the Bucks lead the NFL by a large margin in running the ball on first and second down, leading to third and long. So that is not good. When you look at the other end of the spectrum of the graph, the Bills were up there, the Eagles were up there, the Bengals were up there, teams that are passing first, and those are some really good football teams. So I think the play calling has to improve overall, right? We've seen Canales call some good games, and then we've seen him do this thing where he loves to run the ball on first and second down, and we're facing these third and longs. And I think the Saints just watched film. They had a lot of time off. They came prepared last week, and I think the Bucks just laid an egg. And that's to me, that's on coaching. That's on Todd Bowles. 100% on me. Like, it seemed like there was no motivation last week from the team. Just a bad all-around effort. And I think this week the play calling has to improve for those things to change.
Look, one thing that I'm worried about is that Baker Mayfield is hurt. He does have those rib injuries. We were worrying if it was going to be Trask time already in a very, very crucial game. But Look, on paper, we are the favorites. Everything is pointing that we should beat them. Is there any let's just say if the Bucks actually do show up mentally and they do,
Mm-hmm.
the coaching is okay. I mean, we've seen ups and downs and ups and downs. That's what's hard is if they do show up, is there any reason you see the Panthers having a on paper ability to beat the Bucks? Or if they lose this game, if the Bucks lose this game, how detrimental would that be to this team?
I think the only way the Panthers win this game is if the Bucks beat themselves, right? Rashad White's got to have a big game today. The Panthers' run defense is not good. It's bottom in the league. Their pass defense is actually pretty solid. So I expect a big game from Rashad White today, right? He's been getting more and more involved. We run the ball more. I think he's going to have a big game today. I don't think the Bucks lose this game unless they do it to themselves, i.e. dumb penalties, things that happened last week, the mistakes, the turnovers, the fumbles last week, the drop passes. All those things got to come together this week. Everyone is healthy. There's no excuses this week. This is a second chance to win the division right here, right? Not many teams can say they get that, right? Like our season could have ended last week, but here we are. We have another chance here. It's in Carolina. There's probably going to be more Bucks fans than Panthers fans, to be honest. Tickets are dirt cheap to this game. Carolina's got nothing to play for here, so they're just probably going to come in and air it out, right? Bryce Young's probably just they're going to let him get some playing time in there, throwing the ball, slinging it around. So this is on the Bucks and the coaching staff to show up for this game. I think the only way we don't win this, like I said, is if we do this to ourselves. We shoot ourselves in the foot. If we go out there and execute the game plan, which I hope we have prepared this week from Todd and Canales, I hope things have improved from last week. So it's going to be on us to just play smart football this week, limit the turnovers, and get Rashad White going. I think you do those things, we should easily win this game. I actually think the Bucks win by a large margin, which we'll get into in here in a little bit. But I think the Bucks should easily win this game. No excuses after this one, right?
Yeah. For me, my answer to that question is that I think the Panthers, unfortunately, do pose a little bit of a threat, specifically to us. When we played them, it was the last time we played them, it was a very close game at home for the Bucks, and now they have to go to Carolina and win. And Carolina, at the time, we could not stop the run. We just could not stop the run, and they ran all over us for about 133 yards. That's where I see on paper we had some injuries last time, but if the Bucks just can't stop the run, which is the consistently, just like my Wi-Fi is not being consistent right now, they haven't been able to consistently run the ball, and so if that's where I think the true battle of the trenches is going to be in this game, is that if Carolina can control the clock, keep the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hands, if the score is low, if it's a 10-13 game, if it's because it was 21-18 was the final score last time. Yeah. It has to be a dogfight for the Panthers to win, and the Bucks, I don't know if they win those dogfight games. The Bucks, when they're humming, when the Mike Evans is breaking long passes and they're scoring 20. We were talking about this a month ago. It's like if they score 21 points, they win these games. Right. Because I think this defense can keep the Panthers low, but if the Panthers control their own clock and you're out rushing the Bucks and you're limiting the time of possession for the Bucks. Unfortunately, we're not an offense that can just microwave up 21 points out of nowhere. So if it's the fourth quarter and it's late and they have maybe a 10-point lead on the Bucks, that's bad. That's very, very bad. And I don't know if they can come out of this unless they do like what you're saying, the play calling, a little more up tempo, a little bit more third down conversions and things like that. They cannot go 3 and out against these guys. And to me, that's a running game aspect. They have to be able to convert rushes of 4 yards to make sure that it's elongating drives and that we are controlling the play clock and we are controlling the tempo and because the Panthers can't microwave, like they won't score more than 20 points. I mean, the over under on this game I think is like 36. Yeah. And I think Vegas has it right that it's going to be pretty close to low scoring. I don't think either of these teams is going to score 30 points on their own. So on paper, if the Bucks can't run the ball and can't stop the run, it sounds pretty cliche, but it isn't the high flying passing. It isn't the corners going defensively against the Panthers. It's going to be the big boys doing most of the heavy lifting, and I think that's your key to victory for both of these teams. But with that said, talking a little bit big picture, okay, I sort of alluded to it with the last question, but we're sitting here in that Jeff Fisher-esque 500. Either way, even if we win, even if we win, we are not. We'll win the division and we'll barely be there. We will be the lowest seed. There'll probably be a wild card team that has the same amount of wins, if not more wins than us, but we will get the home game if we're the winners. What do you think the long-term aspects of this game will, the repercussions of this game will affect? Because if they win, they're in the playoffs. Who knows what they'll do in the playoffs? But if they lose, they just went 500 in a year that they need. They won't have good draft picks. I don't know how many answers there are on positions of the future. Have we answered our quarterback position? There's a lot of questions. So I'm leading all that to say, what are the long-term repercussions of this game, win or lose?
So before I answer that question, I did want to say one thing real quick, and that is regarding Mayfield's injury, right? If he does take a big hit, we don't know how hurt he is. So that could be an issue in this game, right? We don't know the rib injury. We don't know how serious it is. He might be one sack away from being out for this game. So that is something we really have to watch in this game. I don't think he's going to take many deep shots down the field. I think he's going to be limited in that, I would guess. That's why I think it's a Rashad White, heavy run game type of day, especially against the Panthers defense, who gave up, I think, 120 last week to Travis and Taheen. So, but to answer your question, I think, so here's where I'm at with Bowles, right? Okay. We're a 500 team, right? I think if the Bucks lose this game, he's gone. I don't think there's any question in my mind. He's got to be gone. Okay. You can't in this league, right? You can't blow two chances at winning the division in back-to-back games, especially against Carolina, who has nothing to play for right now. So if they win a dud in this game and we look awful and we look like we did last week and we had two chances to win the division and you blow it here, he's got to be gone. I'm sorry. But if we win this game, right, we get a home division playoff game against more than likely Philadelphia. There's still some other outcomes that have to happen, but I do think it's Philly we end up playing. I think we have a shot. And that's because if you play a team twice in the league, it's hard to beat them twice. Philly beat us once at home. It was a tough game though. The Bucks held strong, and I think the Bucks have come a long way since then with the offense and the play calling. Now, like I said, we did have a dud last week with the play calling, but I know what we're capable of. So that's kind of where I'm at with Bowles, right? I think if we win this game, we go to the home division playoff game, and then if somehow we can upset the Eagles or whoever we play, I think Bowles stays because Canales isn't going anywhere. Because he obviously he's our new OC. It takes time for this to work, right? We all want to be this team that's throwing for 400 or 500 yards a game. We didn't know what was going to happen coming into the season with Baker, Canales, and Brady leaving. It's all coming together. I think later on in the season now, it's still not 100% there, but we look much improved, I think, than we did in the start of the season. So I'm 50-50 with Bowles, right? I've seen good. I've seen bad. I like Canales. I think he needs to stay, but I think if we lose this game, Bowles has to be gone, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with the whole situation with the Bucks and the head coaching staff and all that.
Yeah, I'm very so. I've been pessimistic this entire season.
It's tough,
so it goes like this: if they win this game, that's the best case scenario. They win this game. They've won the division 3 years in a row, 2 years in a row,
right?
And on paper, that sounds really good, but it's like, how inspiring has the leadership been? How inspiring do we see, like, okay, we're not one more piece away from being a contender. We're like, our depth is very, like, especially at the secondary, like there's a lot of things that this team needs. And if they win, this team that is currently constructed gets a lot more expensive next year. Now, granted, we're out of cap hell, thankfully, next year.
Right.
But they didn't spend this year rebuilding. They didn't spend. We've seen Levante Devin White kind of throw a little goose egg, and now he's not around anymore, right? Or or he's kind of lurking
Hit
in
or
the back.
miss. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like I don't know how, even if we win, how optimistic I mean, playoff chances, who knows? You get in the tournament, anything can happen.
That's it.
There's a
Yep.
lot of bad teams that have, quote unquote, bad teams that have just get in the tournament. You make a run. Maybe we win. Maybe we win the Super Bowl this year. Maybe all this pessimism is they get shoved
Giants
right
did
back
it.
in my face. And I'm happy with. I'd be more than happy to eat crow on this show that my pessimism was unwarranted, right?
Yep.
But that's to be the high water mark. Is my high water mark is pessimistic chances in the playoffs because the low is very low. If we lose this game, if we lose to the Carolina Panthers, like you said, we had 2 bites at the apple and we lose, guys, like if we don't clear house at that point, then I'm even more pessimistic because look, the drafting that we've done hasn't been. We've been putting ourselves in this position because it's a clean sweep if they lose this game. Yet Bowles has to be gone. The GM has to be gone because we need to bring in a new GM and a new coach and a new quarterback and kind of hit the reset button which we, in my mind, should have done this year. We should have gone through this but I guess we're here. We're here in mediocrity land. We're here right in the middle, and we're not bad enough to do anything about it in the draft, and we're not good enough for optimism on my end to say that, like, you know what, if they just go and get a couple free agents and they're going to build on this young, hungry defense. They have a couple pieces here and there, but this is going to be a turning point. And I think it starts today. Unfortunately, like you said, if they lose, then I'm I'm digging a hole because that's how low I am on this team. Is because unfortunately, I think our hopes are 6 feet under, and I think that the careers of some of these people are 6 feet under, and it's going to be a couple years of rebuilding and a couple years of retooling and getting rid of cutting fat and getting rid of people that we like just to get more assets. Because then we do have to start talking. This is an off-season thing, but off-season could be next week, Chris. So we would have to start talking about, do we bring back Mike Evans? Can we do things? Do we need to trade good assets that we like, that we don't want to get rid of because we don't have draft capital, because we need more picks, because we are cleaning house, because we are failing at the very end of this year? This is a huge game in my mind because of all those things, or they could win and we move on and we talk about, we live to fight another day. And I get to talk about how we're going to lose to Philadelphia or Dallas and how pessimistic I am there. But I don't want to be that. I want to be inspired. I would have much rather had a young, hungry team that we know is going to lose a lot of games, but we're like, yeah, but when that guy matures and when this guy gets better and when this one goes in, then we do add to those pieces. And unfortunately, I think we're 2 years away from that, win or lose this game. But with all that said, I want to stop being so pessimistic. I want to ask you, Chris, and also if you're in the comments, like, drop, what's your prediction? What's your prediction? What do you have? Do you have a score prediction? Drop it. Here we go. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. But more importantly, drop those comments. Let's see them. Who wins this game? Bucks versus Panthers. Chris, I'm going to ask you. I think you're optimistic. I think you said it's going to be a wide margin. How big of a margin do you think the game will be today?
I got the Bucks taking this one 27-13, man. I think we can even score more than this. I think you got to go out there this week and give it your all, right? There's no reason we shouldn't blow out the Panthers. I think you want to carry some momentum winning this division and getting a home playoff game next week here at Ray J. So you got to go out and put your foot on the gas, man. There's no reason to play slow in this game. The division's on the line. I don't care who it's against. This is your second chance. Run the ball today. Like I said, my concern is Baker. I don't know how well he's going to be able to throw. His practice were limited. His deep shots were limited. So that's going to be the thing to watch in this game is Baker Mayfield and how well he's playing. Is his injury bothering him? That's why I think it's a heavy Rachaad White type of day. But I don't see a reason why Rachaad White can't have a big day against his Panthers defense. Their run defense is not good. We're lucky to have a second chance this week at winning the division. Like I said, not many teams get that. So this is a big statement game, man. So I think the Bucks put up some points today. I know we struggle to score points here and there, but this is the day where you open up that playbook, man. Do what you got to do. Like I said, if Baker's limited, we were going to see a heavy run game, but I got the Bucks taking this one 27-13. The only way I think we lose this is if it's on us. If we make these dumb mistakes, we do the penalties, the holdings on long runs, the dumb stuff, right? Don't do the dumb stuff today. Play smart. The team's healthy. Bowles has talked about it all week, how healthy this team is. So I don't want to hear crap after this game, right? I don't want to hear it from Bowles. If we lose, I don't want to hear anything he has to say. I just don't. So Bucks take this one 27-13. Home playoff game here in Tampa next week, baby. Let's go.
Let's see. They agree with you in the car. Hello, what's going on, Alexa? How you doing? Go Bucks. It's a big one. So I think it's gonna be a dogfight, buddy. I think it's a dogfight. I think we're gonna sit here and we're gonna go, how is this so close? How is this coming down to the last minute? How is this so bad? And I think that take the money line. Don't take the spread. I think we win because we have to. How do we lose this game? I think we win 20-16. I think we hit the magic number of 20, and that's enough to beat this team. But I don't know if we're leading in the fourth quarter to make that 20 a possibility. I don't know if it's – I don't think we – I mean, the key to victory, like I said earlier, is with the running is specifically they need to run the ball, limit the opportunity to hurt Baker Mayfield. You have to win in the trenches. You have to be able to have long, sustained drives with, like you said, no penalties, no turnovers, don't shoot yourself in the foot, because every single one of those 20 points is going to be needed in this game, in my opinion. In my scenario, is that they score early, they're able to run the clock, they're able to limit the chances, they're able to get out of here unscathed, no more injuries. We're able to rest a lot of guys. We're able to rotate a lot of guys. We're able to get right in this last game against an opponent that, on paper is inferior, but they're coming to play spoiler, buddy. And you just got punched in the mouth last week against a team that was trying to control their own destiny. Because if we lose, we're not in the playoffs at all. And if the Saints if we lose, the Saints have a wide open opportunity, and the Falcons have a wide open opportunity to take that spot. That's going to be a pretty good game on the other channel. But in this game, I hope I'm wrong, but I think it's a dogfight. I think we're going to be chewing our shoelaces at the very end. We're going to be texting each other fire emojis when the clock finally ticks down to zeros, and we barely figured it out. So again, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think so. So well, let's move on. Again, drop those comments, guys. Drop those comments. We as soon as you drop them, we'll bring them up on air. But let's move on to our next topic of the week, and that is going to be our Tampa Bay Lightning, our boys in blue.
Mm-hmm.
We keep talking about this roller coaster, baby, and that roller coaster just keeps going. Last week was 2-2. I think there was some good performances. I think there were some bad performances. We were waiting on Vasilevsky's return to sort of like get us over this hump. We were talking about, hey, just stay 500, wait for Vasi to come back, and they've been 500 since, but pretty much up or down since Vasilevsky's return. So on the RBLR Lightning podcast that we do every week, our guys have been very astute to bring out the defensive system is maybe a culprit to why this team isn't so good defensively and why we're letting some goals get to JoJo and Vasi. But what did you see last week? Like, because at some point we need to decide if we're making moves, and they've been injured on the defensive six. They've been bringing up guys from Syracuse up and down to fill in gaps and fill in holes. There was a game where we only dressed 5 defensemen. I think last week we were almost going to have some forwards playing the blue line. I take a breath to say, like, talk me off this ledge with the Bolts, baby. What did you see? What was good? What was bad about this?
So here's where I'm at with the Bolts this season, right? You're talking about a team that's an average team in the league, I think. I kind of compare the Bucks and the Bolts, right? I think there's talented, skilled players, but then there's players that aren't necessarily chipping in, right? The Lightning are really struggling to get scoring from the bottom six, right? It seems to be Cooch, Stamkos, even Point's been really quiet this year. Other guys gotta step up. Where's Nick Paul? What's Sorelli doing? Like, what are all these? Where's Hagel been at? Like, these guys got to step up and start scoring. I think the Bolts are right around where I thought they would be right now, especially with Vasi being out. It's been tough. I think it's going to take time for Vasi to get going too. I hate diving into the social media comments, but people saying Vasi sucks and all this is just ludicrous to me, right? It's going to take him time, and a lot of it's the defense. We've talked about it, right? If you're bringing up all these young guys coming up left and right and flying and coming and going, you're never able to settle in. You're constantly rotating new guys in and new guys out, having new pairings. And hockey, to me, is all about gelling. When those lines work together, that's what's key in hockey. And when you're constantly having to rotate those defenders out, even your forwards, it's going to be a mess. And that's where the Lightning are struggling right now, is to clean up the defensive side of the puck. And it's not their fault. It's just injuries this year. There's nothing you can do about it. And right now, they're still sitting in a playoff spot. We're a point ahead of Detroit. I'm okay where we're at still. I think we still got a long way to go in the season. This team's capable of anything. I know last night versus Boston was rough, just one of those games. Toss the tape and burn it. It's one of those bad games you're going to have. Boston is an elite team this year. We're not. Like I said, we're an average team that's probably going to maybe squeak into the playoffs, maybe upset a team in the first round, and then probably be out, right? That's just reality this year. That's just where the Bolts are at. So we're also the third oldest team in the league this year. So a lot of our younger guys, they're gone, and we're aging up there. And Stamkos has got a lot of miles. Cooch has got a lot of miles, but he's playing at a phenomenal level this year. So I'm okay where we're at. I think once everyone gets healthy, if we keep playing like this, then I'll be concerned. I just would like to see everyone play together for a couple weeks and get everything going, right? We haven't had a full team together yet this year to complement each other. So that's pretty much where I'm at with the Bolts right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, guys like Radish, Chernak, Perbix at some points, they're getting the brunt of these. It's easy to look at their performances and just be like, "Oh, these guys suck" or whatever. But it was enlightening when Joe Zamataro of our Lightning podcast, actually telestrated it on screen about these guys are, instead of getting to the point, getting on a man, doing a thing, they're being forced to draw back and play a zone of the ice like it's NHL 2K23 and stuff. Like, you have to play your green zone of defense and whatever just to get that little check mark, and unfortunately it's getting to time where, I guess, look, we can dribble in, just get into the tourney, like I just said with the Bucks. Like, hey, cool, let's just get into. And hockey is one of those things where all 8 seeds are dangerous. And I think league wide, we were talking off air, league wide, a lot of teams, there's a lot of parity anyway. There's not a lot of teams that have broken out. We just played Boston, which is one of them. Winnipeg is maybe another one that's
right behind Toronto. Like, we're a point back to Toronto. Like,
exactly. It's like, even through all of this, I think I'm going to flip my pessimism into optimism as I go, because I do see, because for every one of these, okay, I don't really give them that much credit and negativity. It's like, yeah, Perbix and Sergachev and Chernak and Radish and all these things sometimes, but we are seeing Kucherov being the best player in the NHL. We're
right
seeing,
now,
what Stammer's having a great year. We have these good performances, and like you said, maybe it's gelling together. Maybe it's not being able to gel together because of injury. Maybe it is all these things that are kind of taking us up and down and up and down and up and down, but they're keeping pace, which is I'm optimistic about that. They're not dropping points out of nowhere. Sometimes we are winning overtime, or we're losing overtime games, but we're getting a point. We're moving forward, and none of these performances, I think, we've been completely boat raced. And even if we do, like, there have been a couple boat races, but they immediately kick right back in there. And they definitely haven't been outclassed in a lot of these games. And so it's something where I don't know if there's a move to make. I don't know if they go trade somebody or bring someone in. I don't know if there's I mean, we're seeing depth is a problem. So if there's a defender, if there's a blue line player that's out there that could fit into the system or figure this out or be healthy, I guess is I guess the main ability I'm looking for right now. I don't know if they're out there. But that's up to JBB to figure that one out. But there's actually in the comments, there's a good question that I bring up. We talked about Todd Bowles and the Bucks. There's a name that everyone is on the tip of their tongue that they are blaming for a lot of these, and it ain't injuries. It's Blashill. What's your opinion on is Mr. Blashill? Is he wearing the devil mask and we just need to kick him to the curb, or has he been is this unfair to say that he's a culprit to all this? What say you?
I'm never the type of person to really blame it on one person. I don't like to do that because it's a team sport. I think just been the injuries this year, the older we're getting, the younger guys we got coming up. It takes time, man. The NHL is a tough league, man. The Lightning have called up a lot of young guys to come play in this league, and all the ups and downs, and I it has to get fired. I mean, maybe, yeah. I'm not one to jump the gun yet. I still think it's early in the season to go firing anybody and making any kind of moves like that. I haven't seen us had a really bad losing streak to where I'm in panic mode yet. I'm perfectly fine where we're at still. I say this all the time. Hockey's a long season, man. They talked about it last night during the game. The Lightning have had the toughest schedule as far as no break in between their games. They've played the most games in this time frame between any other team in the league. They said towards the end of the season, the Bolts get a lot of time off. So that plays a factor too, right? We just played a Canadian road trip. It's a lot of miles on the road, like you're traveling, you're not sleeping well, like all that goes into consideration for these guys, man. And when you're having injuries and battling all that stuff all the time, that's what's going to happen. But we know what this team's capable of, right? We know what Vasi's capable of. We've all seen it, right? We know what we can do. So hang in there. Don't jump off the cliff. Stay on top. Like I always like to say, buckle in. It's a bumpy ride. So, I got a lot of confidence in this team, and we got a lot of leaders on this team. And for one, I trust Cooper more than any coach in the league, right? So
sure.
I'm fully behind Cooper and what he does with his team. I trust him. I believe in him. He's got us, man, 2 Stanley Cups back to back and almost a third. So just hang in there, right? Just hang in there.
I want to know what led to this system. I'm like, why are we running this system? Like, do we know we're hurt? Are we running this zone defense because of a necessity that we're not talking about publicly? That we know we're all injured and we know we're all hurt and we know these guys can't play man defense, and like I don't understand. This is what I don't get. The guys who get paid more than I do, because I'm like, I see the results. And the results sometimes are very bad defensive stretches. And it is easy to blame it on one guy. But Cooper is instilling this defense, and he's allowing this system to happen for one reason or another. And in this way, so process leads to results. So you have to have good process to get good results. And we've got good results recently. So it's just been a sore spot specifically this year. And if it doesn't get better, then I think you do see some changes in the coaching staff. So that's where I mean, not Cooper, but like, why are we running this system specifically? That would have to be explained to me. Cooper would have to say, yeah, Radish sucks and Chernak sucks, and we just don't trust them to this, and we don't have the cap space to go get another better defender. So this is why we're running this. Like. And he'll never say that publicly, but
right.
But if the results are continuing the way they are, we're going to have to score a lot more goals to mess up, because we know we're gonna, even with Vasilevsky back there, we're relying on him as he's getting. I mean, he's still in his prime, but as he's getting older, we're relying on Vasilevsky to be Superman, which he is, more and more and more. And that's another thing we've talked about for 3 years now, about the reliance on this Hall of Fame goaltender that we've gotten all this production out of. and we've gotten rid of some of the defenders that we would really love to have right now on this team. So all things are connected, like you said. Everything has to gel together. But let's not talk about someone who's losing to. Let's talk about maybe making some money. Chris, it's time for you to entertain us with your bet of the week, sir. All yours.
This is the last NFL Sunday as far as the regular season goes, so I figured I'd give us an anytime TD parlay. I put Jonathan Taylor in there last night, who scored already, but I still like Rashad White, CeeDee Lamb, and Josh Allen today. Keep in mind, Josh Allen has to be a rushing TD, which Miami allows a lot of rushing TDs to quarterbacks. CeeDee Lamb has been money this year. Washington's defense is awful. I think CeeDee Lamb gets in the end zone. Dallas is still fighting to win the division. And then we talked about Rashad White, right? I think he has a big game today against Carolina and gets in the end zone today. So that's a 14 parlay right there. I know you guys missed Taylor because I took him last night, but I still think even if you take White, CeeDee Lamb, Josh Allen, I think they're all really, really good odds to hit today. I'm really loving these anytime TD parlays. It's some fun stuff to do. So dial it in, lock in your bet. I like this one here today.
All right, and let's move along with another little bit of form of gambling, and that is our sports cards. Let's open up some sports cards here. Let's see if I can get this actually on the good screen here. I dug into the treasure trove and I found little old Stadium Club 2021. I am a huge fan of Topps Stadium Club. It's like they're more higher end product, but the photography is really the superstar here with these every year. Stadium Club kind of tries to get you a little deeper on the field, a little more of the backstage elements or the kind of human elements of baseball. And some of my favorite all-time cards are Stadium Club. Some of the wackier cards too, where guys like chewing bubble gum and doing weird stuff. But we got 5 cards in each pack here.
Is that Yelich on the cover?
It is Christian Yelich on the cover.
Okay.
And let's see. So, here we go. Like first for us, here's Matt Chapman. Little blurry, kind of like a weird depth of focus, but even the name in the bottom is just very minimal. It's all about this action shot, and then on the back it gives you the nice little press photo with some stats and a little bit of biography back there. So, because I mean, like these are the kind of ones like if I was a baseball player, like that's a great action shot of Sonny Gray. Here's Kyle Lewis. But then they also throw in some of these Hall of Famers. So here's Honus Wagner, Danny Jensen. And so it's this nice mix, like as a collector, it's like, okay, so you get a little bit of the old, a little bit of the new, but definitely always striking photography. And so it's are a lot of these gonna be worth $1 bajillion? No, but if Yu Darvish is your favorite guy, here's superstar duos. So you got Harper on one side, you got Andrew McCutchen on the other.
He had a good year last year.
Mark Canha, Yoan Makata, and Luke Voigt. But just like I said, just these like striking photography, and none of this. And then even the short prints and the variations of these, they get even crazier. Man, there was some. Mookie Betts had one. It's a shot of him coming like out of the dugout, but it's like from the dugout, so you kind of see it like you're running on the field with him. Here's Corey Seager, Eloy Jimenez with a virtual reality insert.
Yep.
And this has like it shows like his percentiles in the back there. Pretty cool. Here's a guy we all know and love, Evan Longoria.
Yeah.
Hoping to see him, maybe one day make a return. Here's Miguel Cabrera, one of his final cards as a baseball player, Hall of Famer.
Yep.
And Garrett Cole, who just made a move. He just made a move, I think, to Atlanta. They got him for like nothing. It's been a crazy offseason so far for baseball. Max Kepler right at the wall. So here you go. This might even be at Wrigley. with the
Yep.
ivy, and it's like, man, that's what I'm talking about. Here's Andrew McCutcheon dapping up somebody. And I believe this is a parallel with the red. You see how it's the red instead of the silver there. Not numbered, but a little parallel there. Here's a parallel. Randy Johnson Chrome. This is Stadium Club Chrome. Jesus, man. And so actually Randy Johnson has transitioned to being a photographer. He's like a professional photographer now. And have you seen the logo to his studio? Is the bird, the dead bird upside down?
Dead bird, yeah.
Here's Alberto Mondesi and Frankie Montes. No Rays yet. What the hell, man? What's up, Tops? We're trying to get some Rays. I mean, we had, Longo was cool, but here's Cody Bellinger. There's a guy that people on Twitter have been saying maybe the Rays will go get. I don't think that'd be very smart. He's good though. Here he goes, a sepia tone Danny Jansen, but that's a not numbered, but it is a parallel. Those are cool. Here's the Rocket Roger Clemens. Jock Peterson knocking a bomb, even the umpire's like, damn. And here's Anthony Rendon. 3 more packs left. Here you go, Roberto Alomar. Here's a guy that I don't think a lot of people talk about nowadays, but in his time was just a phenomenal defensive guy. Here's Jock Peterson, that same card, but the parallel with the red foil. Here's another red. Dinelson Lamet. Trent Grisham. Justin Turner. Look at Justin Turner making the long stretch to tag him. That's the kind of stuff you get in this set that isn't in the base set. You see how this is through the netting?
Yep.
You can kind of see that with Kyle Calhoun. I don't know. I always like how, just like I said, it gets you closer to the field. It gets you into the action. It gets you. Plus, some of these are just bad. Here's Brian Hayes rookie card, which was would have been freaking out about that. Might still be freaking out about that. This one might actually be worth a couple bucks. And then, oh my God, look at this retro Stadium Club members choice of the kid. That's the man.
Backwards hat.
It's cool little, just like talking about how the 19-year-old rookie in that retro style of like the 90s, 93 or 94 Stadium Club there.
So fun to watch him play, man.
What like growing up with him playing.
Great times.
Amazing. Reese Hoskins. Here's Keston Hira. And Brooks Robinson, another guy that it's a really good picture of him too. But Brooks Robinson, part of those dominant Baltimore Orioles teams, which unfortunately they had a resurgence this year. But man, and let's see, last pack. Maybe we get a Ray here. Let's get a Ray here. Shogo Akiyama. Let's get some last pack magic here or whatever. Anthony Rizzo coming out of the box. Jacob deGrom. I think this is in spring training.
Yep.
Willie Say Hey Kid Mays. Holy crap. This is my favorite card so far.
There you
go. Buddy. They don't get much better than that in terms of just Americana. And Kyle Calhoun red. So not a single Ray in any of these packs. Womp, womp, womp. But you know what? That's why we call them. Are they going to make us $1 million? No. But that's why we call them worthless sports card breaks. But let's get these out of here. Let's get Chris back in here. Let's move on as we wrap up rapid fire here. Big changes as we move into pro wrestling. A little bit of like I said, on the lounge, we keep things a little bit chill, a little bit cooler. We talk about some things we don't get to talk about on all of the other RBLR things. So I'm actually repping my RBLR Tampa Bay Sports in that Nitro style. Nitro. You can get that at shop.rblrsports.com. like it says right up in the top there. Use promo code LOUNGE and you're going to get 10% off anything and everything you want. We have shirts that are representing our fandom of and inspired by the Rays and Rowdies and Lightning and the Bucks and everything, and pro wrestling for a lot of. We got a lot of cross section of some people that love our pro wrestling here. So Chris, I wanted to get your opinion before we get to Pro Wrestler of the Week.
Yep.
We just had a huge pay-per-view with All Elite Wrestling called World's End, where we saw the world title change hands. We saw like Samoa Joe down here at the bottom here. It kind of ushers in a new era, and I want to sort of combine that with the Dynamite on TBS the following couple days later, where we saw so many of the new breed, the new AEW, like a lot of these guys, we Private Parties returned. We haven't seen Mark Quinn in over a year. All of these guys, Sammy Guevara is in the spotlight. Danny Garcia seems like he's going to get a massive push. Orange Cassidy was we're seeing a lot of guys that they've been relying on the Moxleys and the Danielsons and the MJF. His whole title run has been phenomenal. He's a homegrown guy, but now he's hurt and injured, and we just saw a big culmination of his, or at least a huge chapter has now been turned in the MJF Adam Cole relationship now. So we've got returning Adam Cole with a brand new faction. We've got young guys, hungry guys. We're just coming off the C2, where a lot of guys are making their claim for titles. I would even kind of throw in Christian and Copeland as like it's a new era even for their careers. They seem like they're kicking it into overdrive where they should be losing steam.
Yep.
So I say all of that to set up like I kind of led with the title here. Big changes in 2024. What's your feeling coming off of World's End, and where do you see AEW pushing in 2024?
I thought the pay-per-view was good. I don't think it was their best, but I think the final 3 matches of the show were worth it, right?
I think it's fair. Yeah.
Copeland and Christian, they told the story they needed to tell. Really weird finish, but after you kind of watch it, you're like, okay, that makes sense. They can carry that on now. And then obviously the main event was just it was a great match. I think it was done well. I think everyone was surprised. I think the crowd was surprised when MJF didn't, when he was out at 3 and, Bryce rang the bell and it was over and Joe was out of the ring because we all knew what was coming next, right? We knew the segment was coming with Cole, and we kind of talked about who we thought it was going to be, and we had that feeling it was going to be
that was
Cole
fun. That was fun.
Some goons who we thought it was going to be, but I think that's the right play because now you have major heel Cole taking nuclear heat with a faction. You have MJF off TV for, I don't know, 6-7 months, however long it takes him to recover. He returns at a pay-per-view probably somewhere down the road. I know he's resigning with AEW for a fact. So
it would surprise me if he wasn't.
Yeah, it's all going to tie into a story somehow of him coming back, and the crowd goes crazy when he comes back out of nowhere. And you just have Cole run things for a while, and do the whole heel thing. And I think Joe's a great champ, man. It's going to be great having him as champ. He deserves the belt. He puts in work night in, night out. It's a great transition from MJF to Joe. You couldn't ask for a better champion for AEW to hold the belt. It's perfectly protected. He's going to be a great heel. He's going to, Hook's already calling him out, so he's going to be able to beat up on some of the younger guys. And then, I'm hoping it leads to a match with Swerve at some point. Personally, I think Swerve gets a shot at some point, sometime, but I think Joe holds the belt for an extended period of time here, and we just get a straight heel champ. And then, like you talked about on Dynamite, a lot of the younger guys were on there, which was great. Darby and Takeshita was a phenomenal match, stole the show. The 4-way was great. The OC match was great. It was a really, really good Dynamite to start the year. So if that's a taste of anything this year, this is the way AEW needs to keep going, right? Stick to this format, stick to these shows. We've seen Mox a million times. Let him take some time off TV. We don't need any of that right now. Let the crowd feel these younger guys, because if you watch the show, the crowd's really pulling for all the AEW homegrown talent. They really are. Like Private Party got a huge eruption, and then I'm reading all these tweets like, "Oh man, Private Party's back." They're gonna get their shot. They're gonna get their shot. So it's all good the way they're going right now. The pay-per-view, like I said, was okay, but Dynamite was great. And I think I think this is good. This is positive for AEW for sure. Going in the right direction.
Two more things I'll say about this. We'll move to our pro wrestler of the week. Is that you brought up Swerve Strickland. I mean, it's like we've talked about him on this program for months now about how he feels to me like Stone Cold felt like right, but when he was with Intercontinental Champion and like he broke his neck with Owen Hart, where it's like it's there, like all of that. It's just now it needs to get that final little push to it, and then we're there. That's how I feel about Swerve Strickland. I haven't felt that way about a dude in a long time. Swerve is just undeniably the man. I mean, and it's to me, it's potential fulfilled. To me, it's like we've seen this. I mean, I know I've been a huge Swerve Strickland. Even when he was in NXT and WWE as Isaiah Scott and all that stuff, it's like when he was at MLW as their champion 4 or 5 years, 6 years ago or something like that, like he's coming into Shaka Khan and it's like undeniably cool. He's just good. Even if he's a bad guy, good guy. Like, I mean, the story has literally been that he's been breaking laws and things like that. And people are just like, we love this guy. He's cool. So that was one thing I wanted to say is like, they've been doing great even in that new era is that, like you said, with Joe's a absolutely believable, respectable guy. You can put a bunch of these young guys in main event spots for the first time, knowing they're going to lose. But the only way you get better is to do it at that level. And so Joe is a guy that can walk these younger guys through those levels, make them look like superstars before he chokes them out as the believable, champ, right? Then when it comes time for Swerve or Hangman or however they want to do that storyline next, someone can climb that mountain and defeat the monster at the top of it. But the other thing I wanted to bring up is the women's division. I think we're sort of talking about it right now. We're sort of seeing it, but we just saw Mariah May make her debut. Deonna Purrazzo came out of nowhere. I think she's even still underrated. I even think I have a little bit of learning to do about Deonna Purrazzo and her top ability. I've kind of thought she's really good for mid-card or whatever, but Tony sees something in her and other people see a lot in her that maybe I don't see it yet, but I'm going to keep my eyes open for it. Mercedes Moné is floating around in the ether somewhere that everyone in the industry thinks she's going to come to AEW. And now Britt Baker is popping up at some point, we know. Jamie Hayter is another person that's a homegrown, technically. As I struggle here with the internet, but the thing though is the women's division, I think, is another notch that they can go higher. And we've been saying, hey, they need to book this division better. But also the problem is there hasn't been a lot of people that you think you can put in those positions. But now you have a Julia Hart. Now you have a Chris Statlander. Now you have even in Ring of Honor, women like Queen Aminata, and you have Athena, and you have a lot of these women that they've not put on AEW television a lot that could do some damage here. So I think their women's division is going to be another big change. I think by the end of the year, we're going to say that there were some 5-star legitimate classics that we've seen bits and pieces and every once in a while they pop up. But you've got Toni Storm firing on all cylinders. Soraya hasn't been anywhere. She hasn't had to do a lot in the work in the ring. And these free agents they're bringing in, coupled with the final, like Sky Blue is now maturing into a better character and things like that. So you're getting this inflection point where the younger talent they're getting out of the green phase and they're bringing in top talent. And who knows what the future holds, but like their injury list is a hell of a women's division. And when we finally see Thunder Rosa's been coming back, when we see her get integrated a little bit more, Serena Deeb is kind of the Samoa Joe of the women's division, where she's going to come in. I don't know if you saw these little vignettes she did where she's like this kind of unhinged professor, I'm the woman of 1,000 holds, like Dean Malenko kind of thing. She's going to be someone that a baby face is going to be able to conquer that demon at some point. So anyway, those are all the changes that I see. I mean, think about that. All those people we said, we didn't say Danielson, and he's still around. We didn't say Darby yet. We didn't say we Adam Cole is back. Like, it's very exciting. And to me, it feels like the old days. It feels like the beginning of AEW, where it was faster paced, a little more frenetic. We get a little bit more athletic competition. We get a more of a sports feel to it. And now we're doing that with the women as well. Riho is back now. Like, there's more and more people that I could just be thinking of that make me excited. There's not a lot of people that I look and go, that's a miss. Like, that's a miss. Like, why is this person getting pushed? Why is this person getting TV time? We don't have a lot of those right now. And so I think that's encouraging, and it's why it's my favorite product right now. And I think they're doing a great job at the right time. So, well, let's wrap this up with our final segment. Chris, after all of those talks, who was your wrestler of the week?
It's got to be Konosuke Takeshita.
Konosuke Takeshita, buddy.
Great match versus Darby. That match to me stole the show Wednesday night. Man, strap him to a rocket and shoot him off to the moon, man. That guy's. I wish he wasn't heel. I kind of liked him better when he was face, but I guess he's got to be paired with Don Callis so someone can, speak on the mic for him and do his little thing. But the talent level is phenomenal from him. The move sets, he's got high flying skill. He can do it all. From what I've seen, he can do it all. In the match versus Darby, Darby took a beating. It took everything he had in him to take down Darby, because Darby, he takes all the bumps and the crazy stuff. But that match really surprised me. I saw it on paper and I was like, man, this is probably going to be really good. And it to me, like I said, it stole the show in my opinion. Darby's been in AEW since the beginning, so I've always been a Darby fan, doing the thing with Sting. So, oh man, strap this guy to a rocket and take him to the moon, man. Love it.
I love it.
I love it. I hope he gets a belt at some point.
So, I kind of purposely didn't bring up Takeshita. That's another name of someone who is a bona fide superstar. There's maybe it's character that they need to tweak on, and so I agree. But I think the way you get to his inevitable character is you've put him with Callis. He gets to just look like $1 million and have someone like being like, he's the man, like Don Callis every week being like, he's the alpha, he's the best, he's the man, he's the greatest, he's the best, is going to, it has been amplifying his character. And so that when he finally does break free from Don Callis, he can stand. I mean, he was standing on his own anyway, but now it's just $1 million, and now we just have to, maybe there's a tweak, maybe because could you imagine Konosuke Takeshita, Samoa Joe, Konosuke, like it's already been bangers with Kenny Omega, Swerve Takeshita.
I'm saying,
dude, Swerve, Jay White Takeshita.
Yep, good stuff,
buddy.
It's all there.
All there. Hangman Takeshita, dude. These are great matchups of people that are they're getting, this is elevating them to these like where they're mid card. Like if you put the international title on Takeshita, like if he took it from if a heel Takeshita took the international belt from Orange Cassidy, that would be a banger match. Right. And then also like Takeshita just with that gold on his shoulder, and Don Callis being like, I told you he was the greatest in the world, and now he's the international champion for a little bit of a run would be fun. On the flip side, here's a guy I kind of talk about a lot. I held his sign high when we were center of the screen on the hard cam here in Tampa. My wrestler of the week is Trent Beretta. One, I kind of think they're turning him heel the way that I was months and months and months ago. I was calling for this, but now you're seeing, I think, the realization of what I saw, which is that look, that 4-way was crazier than it had any right of being, and then he turned in a great hard hitting match with Eddie Kingston for that Continental Crown on Saturday. So Trent Beretta's another dude. Unfortunately, injuries got in his way of some of this development of him. Now he's sort of a veteran that can float in that mid card, and you need these guys. Is Trent Beretta going to be the AEW World Champion ever? No, and I don't necessarily want that or need that. I need Trent Beretta to be a legitimate, solid, no nonsense guy that he's turning into, and sort of distancing himself from that goofy best friends. There's a story there to do, because there's going to be guys that you need in the mid card. You need these front of the show, middle of the show guys. And I'm not saying that I mean, he's my pro wrestler of the week. That's what I'm saying, is that it's not a disrespect to him. I think he's killing it, and he has so much to offer with his mom and his character that he's already built, and how we can kind of put nuances and twist and change those things from things we've loved to things that we now despise about Trent Beretta. And I can't wait for it, because Swerve's a face, and Jay White's probably going to be a face at some point, and they're turning all these guys, but we need bad guys. And I think Trent Beretta is going to be a really good bad guy. If we finally, he's getting that little bit of a mean streak to him, and I like it. So, but that's all I got for you guys. Look, if you've been sticking around for over an hour, we appreciate you right there. Thank you for the comments during the show. Thank you for the likes during the show. Thank you for subscribing to this content, because look, almost every day we give you brand new content for Tampa Bay sports. My guys talk about the Lightning. All of us, men and women here, we talk about Lightning and Rowdies and Rays and Bucks, and we give you hopefully more and more and more of what you love. So thank you for subscribing and liking and following us on all social media. We're at RBLR Sports. Is the mothership, but RBLR Rays, RBLR Lightning, RBLR Rowdies, like all of these places, we try to give you specific content. So whatever you like, I hope we're giving you 5-star A+ content for you to think about some new things and hopefully entertain you with all of our hosts. So Chris, man, I miss you, buddy. When you're gone, I don't like doing this by myself. So I'd rather do it with you, buddy.
For sure.
Thank you for keeping me optimistic about the Bolts. Thank you for you're more optimistic about the Bucks today. Let's go get a win. Let's just go get a goddamn win. So, Chris, any final words before we get out of here, big guy?
Bucks got to show up today, man. Season's on the line. That's it. I didn't think I'd be saying that this year. I thought the Bucks would be, everyone had us winning 3 to 4 games this year. Here we are, end of the season. Bucks can win the division and get a home playoff here in Ray J. If you can't tell, I'm hype. I've lived here 36 years, going to be 37 this year. Nothing like some NFL football in the last week and a potential to have a home playoff game here. So go Bucks, go out there and get this win. Well,
from all of us here at RBLR, we all thank you Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks for dropping in the comments. Let's fucking go. We'll see you next week. We'll see you all this. We're out of here. Let's go, Bucks.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.